Auspicie un video y promueva la ciencia y la tecnología para siempre. Instituto de Ciencia y Tecnología en América Latina.
Well, thank you, everyone. And first of all, my apologies. My Spanish is not good. If we were speaking Portuguese or French, I'd be okay. But unfortunately, my Spanish is just not sufficient to deliver this lecture. So I'll try to speak, reasonably paced. And I'll start just by offering my thanks for being invited down. I've been working in Puerto Rico on and off since 2002, and I'll tell you a bit more about that, how I started. But before I do that, I noticed several friends in the audience, and I just wanted to thank them for being here and also pay my respects. One is Myrna Pagan, Edgardo back here, Gonzalez, and also to especially thank the Chancellor for inviting me. And also Jorge, who worked to adjust a bit to my schedule, and to the other faculty members that have graciously been present here today. So I first became involved in the question about Vieques, actually by a relationship with Senator Edward Kennedy. It started in 1992 when he asked me to appear before his Senate Committee on Health. And he knew that I worked on children and children's exposure to toxic substances. And he asked me if I would report to his committee about why children might be more susceptible to health loss after exposures to recognized toxic substances. And at that time, the topic was biocides, or pesticides, and their use for public health to control mosquitoes, but also their more intensive use in agriculture. And I had worked for the previous decade trying to understand how pesticides move through the air, through the water, through the soils, got into wildlife, into plants, and eventually, because they were applied to food, how they made their way to our dinner tables on the foods that we consume, and what the relative implications were for children compared to adults. But more importantly, what the relative implications were for pregnant women carrying the youngest. So I worked for about a decade with some of the best obstetricians and pediatricians in the nation to prepare a report by the National Academy of Sciences that was published in 1993 that basically laid out a different framework for law that was really based upon this newly recognized vulnerability of the youngest. So defining life as from